I'm laying out the handrail location in the house in the cabin there on the stairway, and I thought maybe both of these boards I could use for the backer boards for the stair rail, but I just got it laid out where I want it and took a measurement on it, and it's right at 7 feet long that I need, that this backboard is going to be. So that shorter one that I prepped up, it's not going to work. And this one will work. It's 8 feet long approximately. So what I've done here now is I've got measured out the angle of it, or laid out the angle. I took my gauge there and figured out what the angle was, and I've laid that out on the end of that board, on the one end of the board. So I'm going to cut that angle, and then I'm going to set the board up there, and then I'll mark the other angle where it goes and cut it off. So this end of the board is all broomed off. It's split back a ways. So this is the end I want, the sacrificial end down here on this end that I want to cut off. And that end down there has got a pretty good end. It's not broomed too bad. So we're going to get some of it cut off, of course cutting the angle that I'm cutting, but that's the angle I'm going to dangle. I'll get my power screwdriver, impact wrench, impact driver, whatever you want to call it, a couple screws, and I'll take this into the cabin and put a screw or two in it temporarily up on the wall, mark off this end, and bring it back in here and cut it off. I took that 2x4 into the cabin and set it up there on the stairwell where I'd marked where it's going to go. Put this end that I'd cut off earlier flush up at the top of the stairwell, and then marked off the other end. And this end wound up being pretty close to the right angle, almost exactly perfect. I'm going to go ahead and take the belt sander and smooth those over a little bit, kind of round over the points on the ends of them and stuff there and smooth them over a little bit. Then we'll take it up at the cabin and put it together. As I've said before, these 2x4s are not going to be seen. They're not going to show up any, but the ends of them could possibly be seen on both ends of the stairwell. So I've got those smoothed up a little bit. The angles of them are pretty good, so they should match up against the wall. I'll go stick those in. On the upper end, I've got 3/4 inch plywood backing the wall there behind the sheetrock, and then going into studs. As they come on down the wall, there's just 2 studs with nothing into them, so they're just going into 3 studs, one on this end, one in the middle, and one on the upper end, and then a little bit of plywood there as it comes through the upper wall. So I'll go stick this in, and then we'll see where we go from there, see whether I keep going or not. It's bedtime, that's why I'm dressed in my pajamas here, so I just felt like doing it. Judy was walking today, and she's feeling really good. She's really walking around the house and stuff and putting some weight on her foot and whatnot, so she's getting excited. So hopefully we can bring her home here sometime soon. I just got back from running errands. Judy went to her first outing today. She went to a rosemalling club. I picked her up there, and then I went to AML, Alaska Marine Lines, and I got that man lift and ran it over to Reed Brothers, a company that's going to haul it out here when the weather gets better. Done a couple of things outside here. I had to work on Judy's chicken coop a little bit and get the lights fixed out there, and put her Christmas decoration away, put it around a little bit. I'm going to come and work on this stairwell a little bit. So right now we're in the house, in the cabin I should say. I don't know how well this is going to turn out because it's pretty tight in here, but this is it. We're looking at the kitchen area. We got the kitchen stove. There's a dining table that's all full of crap on it right now. Kitchen sink, for doing dishes and the cabinets and everything, with all of the dishes and pots and pans and cooking supplies and stuff like that in it. Now, I made the cabinets, the countertop was salvaged out of the old post office. Now we got a refrigerator there and another little like spice rack storage area over on the other side of that. And right here where I'm standing is an easy chair. This is Judy's chair, and my chair is a massage chair. It's right there. And there's a divider wall, and back behind that curtain is a lavatory sink. And I was going to put a shower in there and a composting toilet in there, but Judy wound up making all that into a pantry and stuff there. So there's no toilet or anything in here. It's just a pantry back there, a storage of a bunch of food goods and things like that, and a lavatory sink for washing up. And there's a partition wall, and that is where the stairwell goes up. And there's the stairwell. Let me get around here. So there's my stairwell opening. We've got a little spot down at the bottom of it between the bottom of the stairwell and the door, and we've got my heater in there. We've just got a little electric heater in there now. When we first moved in here, we had a little monitor oil stove in there. And then I've got a little propane stove that I bought a few years ago when the power went out here for a long period of time and we didn't have any power. You got to have power even to run the little oil stoves, to run the fan and the pumps and those. So we didn't have any power, so that's just an unvented propane heater there, and we only use it when the power goes out. We'd use it when it got so cold that the electric heater wasn't keeping up with it, but since we started skirting and banking the bottom of the house there underneath, it's the electric heater has done its job. So anyway, there's the stairs, stairwell going up, a platform down on the floor, and then one winder step, and then steps going up, and then another platform with a winder on it at the top. Get over there. Well, this is looking up the stairs up to the loft, or up to the upper stairs part where we keep our bedroom. And that stairs is pretty steep. It's way steeper than what code would say, but the only way I could get anything remotely related to being code acceptable would be to put the stairway outside and have a door go outside here and go up the stairway and in a door upstairs. And I didn't really want to do that, so that's the way it is. It's almost like a ladder. Up on top here, I had to make a little slope for it for head clearance up there to go up through there. And then because all the heat would go upstairs there, we've got just a curtain rod, and that's an old blanket, or I guess it's a blanket that we got when we were in Mexico one year, Nogales, Mexico, many years ago. Got it set up on a curtain there, and keep that closed, and that keeps the heat downstairs. Well, here is my handrail. I've got it mounted up there temporarily. I've got the 2x4 that we cleaned up mounted to the wall right here, solid with screws, and I've just got 2 screws in the handrail right now. I fit it in where I want it to go, and that's really good. I'm happy with that, but I'm going to take it out and trim up the ends down here first. Down here on the top end and at the bottom end, it's sharp here, and I'm going to round these over here. Anyway, nothing in the cabin here is finished. We've got sheetrock here on the walls, and downstairs it's fairly well finished, I guess. But like up the stairwell, I never did finish yet. Got a couple other places in here I never did finish sheetrocking that, because this was just a quick and dirty cabin built as a place to live while we worked on the house. It was only supposed to be in here 6 months to a year, so 20 years later, here we are. I've got pine boards that I had my son cut. I was going to resaw those down and everything, and use those for treads on the stairs and to trim that out for paneling and stuff in there. But again, I didn't want to take all the time to do that and take away from the other things I thought were more important. Anyway, here's another little view of the house, a little different angle, the cabin. So it's tight, small space, but it certainly has been comfortable for the last 20 years. But that's the project now, is working on that stair rail. Got it. I got my screw gun out. I'm going to go ahead and take it out and take it in the hanger, jigsaw on it, and cut out round over these ends here and get those shaped up, put it back up on here. And then when I do, I'm going to screw it down with a bunch more screws to this 2x4 so it's good and solid. Right now it's kind of flimsy on there, but that's, like I said, just temporary. So I've set this up, the top of the stair. The code says 34 to 36 inches, but it says 28 inches for children. But this stair is really steep, and if you stand on the bottom rung and hold on to the stair, the handrail, if it was up at 36 inches, it'd be way too high, especially for Judy. She's only 5 foot tall. We've got to keep it down for her. Well, I think that'll work pretty good. I've been using it a little bit, just feeling it and stuff, and it feels pretty good. This will be taken off so we can finish the drywall in here and whatnot at some time at a later date. And once this is taken off, then I'll countersink these screws down in and put plugs in there to cover them up and whatnot and make them a little prettier. But for now, just getting them up there is what I want to do, so we get Judy home and she can get up and down the stairs to go to bed when she wants to. And that's the most important thing for now. Well, there's the handrail. I just took it off and brought it out here in the hanger. I just rounded off the ends of it, and this is going to be the bottom end. And I've rounded off the top end here where it comes out of the top of the stairs. And then I washed it down with some paint thinner. Well, I let that flash off overnight, or for a while anyway. I guess it doesn't make any difference whether it's overnight or just for a little while. I think I'll go see if I can find some linseed oil, and I'm going to mix it up with some paint thinner, mix it up thin and start putting it in there, putting it on that wood. I don't know if it'll take it or not. At this cold temperature that it is now, it's below freezing. But that's it. That's ready to go on there now, except for putting a finish on it. You see the difference in the color, but with it wet from the paint thinner from what the bare wood is over here. This is the other board that I prepped up for it. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good. I think that'll work pretty good. Took the sharp edges off of it so it won't gut you when you fall into it going up to the stairs, but throwing the ice melt on that driveway and then running up and down it with the Bobcat with the chains on it made a difference. That ice melted off there pretty good. There's still ice up there on top on the flat of the driveway, but it's thinned out. It lucked out and it cleared off. It quit raining and it's actually blue sky right now. It's clearing off, so I suppose it's going to freeze again, get icy again, but at least that driveway, the lower portion of it there, the dangerous portion of it is cleaned up. Well, I got that big berm of snow moved out of there. Mostly what's left there is actually right up against the bank, and there's a big ditch right there. If I try to do too much more, I'll just bury the Bobcat in the ditch. But I got most of that snow out of there, so we can see past there now. And if it snows some more, so it's only the middle of January, not even the middle of January yet, so we still got 3 more months where we can get some snow. Oh, there was iced up right there. There's a little trough right down here at the bottom of the driveway where it slopes both from the highway and then from the driveway there for the water to run down across the bottom of the driveway and down into the ditch. And it was iced up down on that other end. The water was running out into the highway. I took the bucket and the teeth on the bucket and turned them down and gouged that ice out of there. So hopefully that water, well, actually not hopefully, it is. It's running down that grooves that I made in there with the teeth. So that should keep the water from running out on the highway. I didn't do too much spilling over there, a little bit going across there, but that should clear up pretty good. So there's the snow dumped over there. That whole big pile is right there. So that road drops off. Well, it keeps dropping off all the way down to the ocean down there, 100 and some feet, but it drops off 15 feet or so right there off the edge of that road. We got rid of that for now. That's a lot better. So we can see by it when I come down there with cars to see if there's any traffic coming from that direction, and I got a place to put more snow if it snows again. These are the boards I prepped up for using for handrail in the stairs in the cabin. I took this one in and set it up on there. That one there I'm not going to use, I don't think. But this one, I set it up on there, got it fitted where I wanted it, and then marked these corners, these edges here, both ends, and shaped them up. Then I was going to finish it with linseed oil. I thought I had a couple of cans of that here in the shop, but I brought this out here to get it ready to finish up, and got to looking through the shop and I didn't have any. So yesterday I took my wife into physical therapy, and when we got done I went by the store and picked up a little quart bottle of linseed oil, and last night I came out here and worked on this, and I mixed the linseed oil pretty thin with paint thinner, 2/3 paint thinner and 1/3 linseed oil. And then I started putting it on here on both top and bottom and on this face here. That stuff was pretty thin, and it was but it was really cold out here. And this yellow cedar is a dense wood anyway. I mean, the growth rings on here, you can't hardly count them by eye. It's pretty hard and dense, and it's a resinous wood anyway. Well, I wasn't sure how well it was going to take that. It took it a little bit. I put several coats on it, and then it just wasn't taking it in. So I got the heat gun out and started going over it with the heat gun, and that was heating up the wood and the linseed oil enough that it was penetrating into the wood. And I think I got a pretty good finish on there on this. This is going to be the outside face, the facing face, and then we've got the top edge over here, bottom edge here. We got both of those done. Now what I need to do is go ahead and do this bottom side. And it looks like it might have soaked in some of it through all the way through there. But I'll go ahead and put a couple more coats on this bottom side anyway and make sure I get it filled in. I don't know whether that's going to show up on the camera or not, but that's quite a difference in the color between the bare wood and the finished wood. That has a real nice yellow sheen to it, and it's a real soft texture, real soft. It's not slippery, but it's real soft. I could have put varnish on it or varathane or something like that, but that stuff always flakes off over time, and it gets real shiny. It could be a little bit slippery. Linseed oil soaks into the wood real good. I mean, it's just that you use for finished gun stocks with. So anyway, I'm happy with the way that's turning out, but I'm going to go ahead and put another couple coats on this side. I haven't put any coats on this side, but like I said, it looks like it's come through that side. This side almost looks nicer than the other side. I don't know why I was obsessing so much on that, but perfect or better, that's what we want. So anyway, that looks pretty nice. Both sides do look pretty nice. I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. I don't know if you can see the difference between the two of those or not, but see the difference in the color. But that really brought out the yellow in the yellow cedar. I think that's going to be pretty nice. So anyway, that's pretty well protected, I think. I think that looks pretty nice. I'm going to leave it sit out here overnight, and tomorrow I think I'll put it up. I don't think I'll put it in there tonight. I'll let it outgas and let that linseed oil and stuff set up a little bit more before I start handling it and start putting it in the house. Oh, it's cold out here this morning. Fingers are already cold, and I've only been out here a couple minutes. That board has sit out here overnight, and I think that linseed oil soaked in as much as it's going to. That thing just feels fantastic. It's just satin smooth. Not slippery, but nice and smooth. Anyway, I think it's about time to go put it in. Now, I was just going to go ahead and screw that into the board that I put up on the wall and just leave the screws in there so I could take them out at a later date when we finish the sheetrock and stuff on that house and the cabin. But I decided that would look kind of tacky, so I took a 1/4 inch Forstner bit and went ahead and pre-drilled some counterbores in there for the screws to go into, so they'll fit down below the surface of the wood. And then when they go on permanent, we'll cut some plugs and put in there and cover those holes up so they won't stand out. But for now, we'll just leave them open like that, but they'll be recessed below the surface of the wood like that. And when we finish these boards, when we edge these boards on the planer, I didn't have the jointer out at the time, and we just did them all on the planer, and we stacked 3 or 4 boards together and run them through edgeways through the planer. Well, we took screws and screwed them down to each other so that they would stay together. And so there are screw holes here on the ends of this, and I initially thought that those would be cut out, but they didn't get cut out. I thought since these were 8-foot boards that when I could put that rail up it would be shorter than 8 foot, but it wasn't. It turned out to be that's exact length that it's going to be. So I went ahead and used that 1/4 inch Forstner bit and counterbored those holes, so when the time comes we can go ahead and cut plugs and put those in there too, so they don't look quite so bad. They don't look so bad here on the board initially, but once you start putting the finish on there, once the linseed oil got in there, it turned those black, and they were pretty noticeable and kind of ugly. So anyway, that should finish that out pretty nice, so there'll be a plug in there on that. Well, anyway, I guess I'll take those in the house and go ahead and get it put up. I'll have to go dig out. I had screws for it someplace, so I'll get some more screws, or get the screws for it, and take that in the cabin and get it put up. The handrail is all installed. Here's the lower section of it here. The curve goes down nice right there, so it's not going to catch on anybody's ribs when you come around the corner. Give a good handhold on it. It's secured pretty good to that. Before, when I put it on temporarily, I just had 2 screws on it, and it wobbled a little bit there when you put a little pressure on it. But it's in there pretty good now. I've got 8 screws. They're number 8 by 3 inch screws going through the board here, the handrail, into the underlying board. Anyway, that's on there pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. That should work. And then the upper end up there, we got it rounded over too, so it's easy to grab onto when you come around the corner there to come down the stairway. And no sharp edges on it or anything. It feels nice and smooth, just beautiful. Still a little stinky with linseed oil. That's going to take a while for that to outgas. It's warm in here now. It's so doggone cold out there in the hangar that it probably never would have done anything, but it's in here now. We'll get some heat going up this stair well, and so that should cure out. Might take a little time. Probably get a headache for a few days, but it's there. That's nice. So, yeah, you just grab a hold of it and push right against it. It's not going anywhere. If I can push against it and not move it, Judy sure as heck can. Might have to worry about my son. No, that thing's on there pretty good. Like I said, I got 8 screws in it going up there. About every 8 inches, maybe a foot apart, and staggered, so I've got 1 screw down low here, and then 1 screw up that goes up through the middle of that 2x4 behind it. So I'm happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. It should work good. So the proof will be when Judy comes home and tries it out, I think she'll be happy with that. Probably do a little bit of painting or staining or something right here on this 2x4 where it sticks out and is trimmed up right flush against there. I never did trim this end of this wall out. I still want to make a board to go on the end. That's just a 2x4 stud right there, a light switch in it. We got a two-way light or three-way light switch that goes for the stairwell, so we can turn it on, off down here, on and off upstairs. But yeah, there's still a lot of finish work to be doing in the cabin here, but I got other things to do that are more important than that here.